Hey everyone, welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. Today on the table we're doing a deck analysis video for a KeyForge deck that I will be posting videos of me playing at a couple tournaments coming up on the channel. So make sure you subscribe and stick around for those. This is going to analyze the deck, talk about the deck. I always get comments below on my tournament videos asking me to post links to the decks. So instead I'd like to do one better here. Since I'm playing this deck and I recorded my matches throughout the next two tournaments you'll see posted on the channel, I figured I would just make a video going through the deck. So let's do that now. And this is Nordvizer, the Smuggler of the Pub. I just got Brodnar, Shadows, and Untamed. You can see it on the screen here. I will put the link to the Master Vault in the description below here on YouTube at Rob's Gaming Table, so you guys can jump to it. But let's look at some of the other ways I like to look at it, not just here in this app. We'll go over to KeyForgeCompendium.com. I'll also try to link the sites that I'm referencing here in the description below on YouTube so you guys can look those up. But the SAS rating is 93, consistency is 0.63. So the story behind this deck is, it's kind of funny, I think, because I don't usually buy decks on the internet, but at the time, the game had only been out for a couple months. I think it was right after the holidays of 2018, so probably early January of this year as of posting. I went on Facebook and an ad for Facebook Marketplace popped up, and it was a guy local to me selling 6 decks that were still sealed in plastic, that were open, and he basically was saying, I don't know anything about this game, I have no interest in learning, I have these 6 decks I bought, and I'll sell them for 30 bucks Canadian, which is the price of 2 sealed decks here. So I thought, at the time, I didn't have that many decks. I figured, yeah, let's add 6 more to the collection. I messaged the guy, he said he'd meet me on lunch hour, so it was super easy. It took me 10 minutes to drive over and get them, and then I got the decks. Oh, and he hadn't scanned them in, which was the other thing, so he hadn't seen any ratings on them or anything, and I just learned about these rating systems. So I took the decks home, and I just cracked them open, sleeved them up, and started playing them. And I was playing them with my daughter, actually, and because I assumed they were all garbage. I assumed what this guy did, he was looking for like horsemen or whatever, and just couldn't find them. Didn't know anything else about the game other than horseman decks were making money at the time, and maybe Time Traveler or whatever in January, I don't remember. But I just assumed none of them would have anything good in them, no bait and switch and whatever. But anyways, out of the 6 decks, 2 or 3 of them had bait and switch, so I was a little thrown off. So I was playing the decks, and this is the one my daughter fell in love with because she actually was beating me with it. So then I thought, okay, after like a week or so, I ran it through the numbers and saw it was a 93 SAS, or around there at the time. I know they've changed the SAS rating since, so it could have been a slightly different number. And I thought, okay, I have a Archon tournament coming up on a Thursday night at Black Knight Games in Hamilton, Ontario. I figured I'll take this deck, give it a try. My daughter seems to love it. I hadn't really played with it much. And I had some anti-synergies, which just made me write it off right away. So we'll talk about those. But yeah, so funny story. That's how I got the deck. I saw the ratings and went, whoa, that's a really high SAS. Took it to the tournament. You'll see how I did in the tournament. Watch those videos. Check the description below. I'll try to link the playlist to the tournament videos as I post them so you guys can check them out there in the future. If not, just check Rob's Gaming Table. Look for the KeyForge videos around the time of this video's posting. So yeah, it has 21 creatures, 9 actions, 5 artifacts, 1 upgrade. Not bad numbers. A little high on the artifacts. If they're not good ones and they kind of clog you up, that kind of turns me off of the deck. I'd rather have more creatures, more actions. I want low upgrades, I want low artifacts unless they're very impactful. Because sometimes you just need creatures, and if you have a very low creature deck and like 12 artifacts, it's not the greatest. So I think the numbers are okay here. Let's go down to ADHD ratings before we go actually look at the cards. The Amber is plus 6.79, which is pretty high, is my understanding. Board controls a green. Amber controls a green. They're pretty high. Efficiency is a little low, but you know, without logos, that's just how it is sometimes. Your card draw and that kind of thing for efficiency isn't the greatest. But I can control the board, I assume, because I got Brodnar and some direct damage out of Shadows. And Amber control, I have Shadows, so it's going to be some decent Amber control there. And then Amber generation, I have Untamed, which, you know, that'll help there. So let's look at the cards in the deck, actually. So here we go with Shadows. So we see bait and switch right away. Okay, don't leave home without it if you're going to try to be competitive is the general consensus. I don't believe that fully, but it is a good card. Nerve Blast, steal 1, deal 2 damage to a creature. Great. Evasion Sigil. Love Evasion Sigil. Now here's one of the anti-synergies. You got Brodnar in the deck. You want to fight. But with Evasion Sigil, that can hurt you just as much as it can hurt your opponent. So sometimes I play it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I throw it away. Depends what's going on. But you'll see how it's useful in the deck and how it's not shortly. So we got Special Delivery. I love this one because it's good to just hit a flying creature for 3 and purge them. So sometimes you can catch like a Time Traveler or something like that, get them off the board and purge them. Or this can be your final blow damage to a larger creature, you know, in addition to regular damage you're doing through a fight. You can just throw in a Special Delivery to finish them off and purge them. So some great control. And it's Omni. You can use it on any turn and get an Amber off it. Love having 2 of those. So those are great artifacts. I like them because they're basically like action cards that you can throw from hand. You know, doing 3 damage and getting an Amber is good. It just takes an extra turn to get it done. But the fact it's Omni, it's great in my opinion. Shadow Self, always great to help keep your board together, and works with Old Brunos. I got 2 Old Brunos, which is great for getting your opponent off a key, capturing some Amber, throw him against Shadow Self, and he's elusive, so hard to get rid of. Urchins, just to do some steal. A couple Urchins is always great, and some more steel in Umbra and Naughty the Thief. So lots of steel and shadows right there. Great Shadows package in my opinion. Yeah. So Key Charge, not really a fan. Never really use it that often. I mean, when it comes up and it's working, it's great. Otherwise, it's just a dead card in hand. So not my favorite to have in the deck. This is not trying to key cheat. That's not why I like this deck and why I think it does well. It's having things like Full Moon and a bunch of creatures. Grasping Vines. That's a way sometimes I'll get rid of Evasion Sigil, bounce it back to my hand and chuck it later. If I realize it's hurting me more than my opponent, sometimes I'll want to control it with Grasping Vines. And so having some artifact control in the deck is great. A couple regrowths, which are great to get some Amber Gen going, and works with bringing back characters to hand to help get a key charge off using like Dust Pixies and whatnot. Vigor, heal 3 damage. And since I have big Brobnar bodies that are fighting, that I usually can get the extra Amber off of pretty easy. So we got Witch of the Eye. Love Witch of the Eye for recursions. Usually just a distraction card. Opponents who know what they're doing will destroy her ASAP, which means they're fighting instead of reaping, or attacking her instead of Old Brunos or something else that's slowing them down. Lupo Discard, great to just come in, ping someone for 2 damage, and he's Skirmish and 6. So he's another fighter that I need on the board sometimes to help me control my opponent's board. And Big Twig, we all know what he does. The reaping and stunning, exhausting a creature, just a big, nice body to have on the board. There's the Dust Pixie. I like to come back with the regrowths. Also Flaxia, same reason. If I've got more creatures on the board, if my Brobnars are fighting good enough, or I'm playing against a low creature deck, Flaxia helps take advantage of that, and I'll fight with her, get her off the board, bring her back with a regrowth, and get that double Amber Gen over and over and over again. And it's better than a Dust Pixie if you have more creatures, just as a 4 body versus a 1. Do Fairy, of course, if that is left on the board, you know, with Shadow Self and also with Evasion Sigil, Do Fairy can just go crazy if my opponent can't get it off the board. Now we're to Brobnar. So an Amber Gen card here in Blood Money. Just take some Amber from the pool, throw it on a creature, kind of putting you know, a hit on their head, so you can kill that creature, get that Amber back. We got Mighty Javelin and War Chest as artifacts. War Chest, of course, if you're fighting, you're destroying creatures in fights, you can get some extra Amber with that. So good Amber Gen. That's why you see the Amber Gen so high, because even out of Brobnar, I got lots of Amber Gen. Mighty Javelin, get me an Amber, putting it in. Another card, just like Special Delivery, an artifact that can help pop a creature off the board. Here's some more direct damage out of Heavy the Huge ×2. So this guy's great for coming in and squishing Mars and Shadows creatures, small creatures in any of the factions, but basically Mars and Shadows, just coming in there and destroying them all. And I will use regrowths on him if I need to. And same with Earthshaker, you see down here, destroy each creature with power 3 or lower. Great with the 2 regrowths. I've had to use that in matches against Mars, and that has a Rise where they're bringing back like John Smith Zookeepers, the Bolters, all those guys. Megamouth coming back over and over again with the Arise and blowing up the board and having Mars all over the place. Earthshaker, Heavy the Huge. Yeah, I've actually switched my game plan to do regrowths just to bring them back to help keep the board under control and stop the Mars combos from going off. Lunar Goblin, another great card. He's a rare. It's got elusive. When you reap for the remainder of the turn, you gain 1 Amber each time an enemy creature is destroyed. So this is great for adding more Amber Gen to the Brobnar suite. So you reap with him first, then you throw on Earthshaker. And since he's for the remainder of the turn, his ability is triggered at the start and stays for the remainder of the turn. So even if the Lunar Goblin is gone for the rest of the turn, anytime an enemy creature is destroyed. So even if I slapped on an Earthshaker and destroy a bunch of their creatures and mine, including Lunar Goblin, I still get the Amber for that, which is great. I got Crump here to help with a little bit of Amber control there, some fighting. Gain 1 off Headhunter, and we got Troll 2 of them, which is great big bodies. So like, look at this Brobnar bodies here. We got 6, a 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8. So no little Brobnar guys here other than the Lunar Goblin. These are all big hitters. And to even add to the big hitters, which is good synergy with Heavy the Huge, because like I said, it's got anti-synergy in the deck with Heavy the Huges and Earthshakers. And you saw Earthshaker and Heavy the Huge will destroy Dust Pixies, destroy Dew Fairies, get rid of Witch of the Eye, and Urchins, Umbras, Naughty the Thieves, Urchins, Brunos get hurt. So that a lot of anti-synergy here, but you have Shadow Self to help with that. If you set it up right, Shadow Self will help you and not make Heavy the Huge and Earthshaker's dead cards. Well, it'll make Earthshaker still work, but sorry, it will stop the damage, because the damage, if they're beside Shadow Self from Heavy the Huges, will hit Heavy the Huge. They'll survive off Heavy the Huge by themselves, which is great, and he only damages undamaged creatures. So you don't hit them again if you play 2 Heavy the Huge in a row. But Shadow Self will soak up some of that damage. You have the heal out of Vigor to help with it. And what was the other thing? Oh, Blood of the Titans. This creature gets +5 power. So I have put that on like Dust Pixies if I'm desperate, or some smaller creature to just help them not get destroyed by Earthshaker because it increases their power, or Heavy the Huge dealing damage to help reduce that death to keep my board up. But I have just thrown it on a Troll before just to go crazy fighting, or on a Crump just to make sure you can fight multiple times to make sure my opponent's losing more amber and he sticks around longer. So those are the cards in the deck. Let's go over to the Burger Tokens Deck Analyzer. I'll link this in the description below. I like looking at this one, just the visual representation of the deck. I like the you know, just the way it shows everything broken down here. So we see here's the Brobnar cards, the Shadow cards, the Untamed cards. Shows me my 21 creatures, all listed by faction. I like the way it shows me my amber there in the yellow boxes and my power right there, all nice on one screen. Shows me my actions, my artifacts. Shows how it compares to the global deck database. So it's above curve on characters, below curve on actions, slightly above average on artifacts, and about, you know, average on upgrades with 1. Bonus amber. This is something I like to look at. I have 10 cards here with 11 amber generating, which is pretty good. I think that's yeah, look, it's slightly above average. You can see that here. And I have Amber Burst. Look at this Amber Burst list here. So I got War Chest, which could potentially get me a bunch of amber in a turn. Lunar Goblin, Full Moon, Vigor, Dew Fairy, Dust Pixie, and Flaxia. No Hunting Witch, kind of sad. As you can see here in the characters. Sorry, I'm scrolling over the place here. But yeah, no Hunting Witch in the deck. That's the only thing. It's like, it gets pretty good amber gen out of Untamed, but with the Key Charge, I find it's hard to find a Key Charge or Chota Key Cheating deck that also has like 4 Dust Pixies and you know, the regrowths and the Nature's Calls and all that stuff. It's a little more rare. But yeah, I think it's a decent Amber Burst there. Creature removal. So I got single targets and Mighty Javelin, special deliveries, Lupo the Scarred, and then multi-target the Earthshaker and Heavy the Huge. So not the gateway to disc kind of wipes and key to disc kind of wipes. A little more focused, but still I can control the board with fighting, which is pretty good. Stealing, like I said, got a bunch of steal there. You can see the capture, the loss, key cheating, and artifact removal and grasping vines. And then I love this Burger Tokens, a random deck score, which is generated completely random. They're kind of making fun of deck scores in general. Like, you got to play the decks, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only way you'll know if the deck's good and synergizes. Really, these numbers just kind of help you filter decks. They're not a complete judge of the deck. Healing, we got a little bit of healing. We talked about card draw, and then the synergies. I like this little section down here. So Key Charge plus Dew Fairy, Regrowth plus Dust Pixie, and Regrowth plus Dust Pixie. So these are the synergies that this Burger's Tokens has told me my deck has. But it doesn't list anti-synergies, which I think there are some in the deck, like I've talked about. And here is the ARC score. So Amber Control 10.5, expected Amber is 26.5, deck manipulation so 4, artifact control I got 1 card in there, creature control it's an 8, and effective creature power is a 95, so that's pretty high. And it's a 59.5 ARC score total. So we got a -2 in anti-synergy, +11 in synergy. Yeah, just showing you guys the different ratings, you know, to help you look at it. And then here's a shot of the, I forget what this view is called, from the KeyForge Compendium. Just kind of an overall look at the deck. Another way people like to look at decks online. So you can see here the consistency, the numbers, and the creatures and the SAS rating. And you can see where the Amber Gen is on them, and the breakdown of which house has your larger amount of creatures. So obviously Brobnar has the most in the deck, but I mean Shadows is nothing to laugh at. And Untamed's like a half non-creatures, half-creature cards. A little low, lower than I like, but it's an interesting deck nonetheless. So I like it, and that's all I'm really going to say about the deck. So this is a companion video to the tournament matches that'll be coming up on the channel, the next 7, I believe. So check the description below for the links, or check Rob's Gaming Table on YouTube. For those videos, I'll use the same art on the thumbnail so that you guys, it's the grenade snib art that I used on this video. You'll see that same on the thumbnails for those videos to link them all together to help you find them. But yeah, you can watch this deck be played live in person, not on the internet, with real paper cards, with real people sitting across the table, not through a chat window. As you see most YouTube videos on Crucible, there's just something different about playing in person. So I have a bunch of in-person games with it at tournaments. We'll see how it does, see how it performs. Feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below on YouTube for this video to let me know what you guys think about the deck. And leave comments on those tournament videos to let me know how horrible I messed up playing the deck or anything like that, or any synergies with this deck, or what you like about this deck, or any questions about the deck. Leave them in the comments below. Either way, hit that like button if you want to see more KeyForge videos, and thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I'll see you at the next one. Bye.